welcome to The Print. We are at the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is now traversing through Karnataka. And joining us today is General Secretary in charge for communications in the Congress Party and MP, Mr. Jairam Ramesh. Sir, firstly, you've been also walking for a large part of the Yatra at this age, if I might say. How's the experience been?
But
I hear that Mr. Digvijaya Singh is the star
he's
walker.
7 years older to me, but he walks much more than me. He's actually Field Marshal Digvijaya Singh because he walks he does the whole distance. I walk maybe 8 kilometers in the morning and maybe a kilometer and a half in the evening because I have other things, the communications part and other things to take care of. But Mr. Digvijaya Singh is just absolutely phenomenal.
So is there a kind of competition between you guys? Okay.
We are the do bechare of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, But he's been he's super fit. He's done a 3,200 kilometer Narmada Parikrama Yatra. He does yoga in the morning. He fasts 4 times a week. He's super fit. And he's leading the Sevadal, I join him most of the time. Most of the time I join him. But I join him in the mornings. In the afternoons, it gets a lot of things, deadlines to meet. Connectivity is poor. So we have to find a place with good connectivity to upload photographs and reports and so on. So my afternoon gets taken away with that. But the mornings, I try to do the full 8, 9, 10 kilometers.
So, Mr. Ramesh, it's been 1 month of the Yatra. In terms of the response you're getting and in terms of what you wanted to achieve with this Yatra, is it up to what you were expecting?
The response in Tamil Nadu and Kerala was as per our expectations. The response in Karnataka has far exceeded our expectations. That's because, we thought that this is a BJP-ruled state and we'll have a lot of logistics issues. Other than the connectivity issue, we've had really no issues. We've had a phenomenal public response in Mysuru to Mr. Rahul Gandhi. We've had a super phenomenal response to the Congress president yesterday in Mandya. Wherever Mr. Rahul Gandhi and the Bharat Yatris are walking in Karnataka in the last 6 days, there's been a fantastic response. So at the end of 30 days, at the end of 690 kilometers, I would say that the Bharat Jodo Yatra has succeeded in infusing new life into the Congress party organization and has certainly set the cat amongst the pigeons in the BJP and the RSS. The RSS is mouthing the language of the Bharat Jodo Yatra in a way, and the BJP's dirty tricks department is working overtime to discredit us, which I think is a tribute to the Bharat Jodo Yatra, the fact that we are now setting the narrative.
I was coming to that because since the Yatra began, the BJP has been responding to the Yatra. It might be in terms of criticism, it might be in terms of Mr. Rahul Gandhi's shirt, it might be in terms of other things, but they are but they are responding to the Yatra.
But I think for the first time, we are actually playing cricket on a pitch that we have prepared. We're not playing on a pitch that has been prepared by somebody else, and that's the value of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. I always saw it as a means of setting the nation's agenda. It's a decisive moment. It's a transformational moment for Indian politics, but it's also a very important transformational moment for the Congress party. And instead of reacting all the time, we are setting the narrative. We have a narrative. Now people may say, "Why are you jodoing Bharat? Who's todoing it?" But we are answering that, right? We're not on the defensive
So
of the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
On that note, sir, if I can ask you, there's been a lot of talk about what is the purpose of this Yatra?
Right, the purpose, as I said to you will not jodo anything unless it is being todoed. Both the niyat and the nitis of the Modi government is resulting in the increase in economic inequalities, which is todoing Bharat. It is increasing social polarization on caste, religion, language, food, dress, which is todoing Bharat. And it is resulting in political over-centralization, which is the making one man the source of all wisdom and all power, Sarvagyani, Sarvavyapi, Sarvashakti, and a complete willful neglect of the Constitution and constitutional bodies and constitutional principles and provisions. So this is the way Bharat is todoing. Bharat is being todoed economically, it's being todoed socially, it's being todoed politically. And the Bharat Jodo Yatra is a response to this. That we want to highlight the deleterious impact on our society on account of increasing economic inequalities, social polarization, and political over centralization. Now, and that's why we started the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
Now, Mr. Ramesh, as a beat reporter, I know you're tired of answering this question, but I'll ask you anyway since it's the first sit-down interview we're having.
My job is to answer your questions.
So this thing about why the yatra is not going to Gujarat. I know you said that it was there were 5 routes that were thought out, and also you said that it would take 90 days to reach Kanyakumari from Gujarat. No, but my question is, electorally, how is the Congress party looking at this year?
This was never conceived of as a Chunav, jitao Yatra. When this was thought of in Udaipur, and when Congress President announced it on the 15th of May, became part of the Udaipur Nav Sankalp. It was never seen as a Chunav Jitao Yatra, It was seen as a Yatra to rejuvenate the Congress. It was seen as a Yatra to revive, resuscitate, reinvigorate the Congress party organization around some national themes, around a national narrative, other than political power, So it was not a Chunav Jitao Yatra. But as you yourself have answered my question, yes, we looked at alternative routes. If you start on September 7th from Kanyakumari, there's no way you're going to reach Gujarat, even with a 56-inch chest, and even if you're Superman.
But why not start from Kashmir then?
No, if you had started with, we had started from Kanyakumari to Kashmir because Shankaracharya went from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. The Bhakti movement from south to the north. Why should we always have India conceived as north to south? There's a south to north. The Bhakti movement, which transformed Indian society, was a movement that went from the south, and it transformed the north, it transformed the east, it transformed the west. So it was Kanyakumari to Kashmir. It sounds. It also rolls. It has to roll from the tongue. Kanyakumari se Kashmir, Bharat Jodo. They sound well, So there was no way we could reach Gujarat within 90 days. And secondly, more importantly, the organization would have been completely immersed in the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and election preparedness would have suffered. We are doing Bharat Jodo Yatras, 2 Bharat, one from Rajkot and one from Amreli, which the party organization is. Those are not Pad Yatras, but they are hybrid Yatras. Incidentally, Mr. Gandhi was very particular that this Yatra be a Pad Yatra. If it was a hybrid yatra, we could have gone from Kanyakumari here to Kashmir here via Gujarat here. But once the hybrid route was rejected, because Mr. Gandhi was clear that if you want to make a meaningful difference through a yatra, it has to be a Pad Yatra, then this route became the natural choice. The direct route, I mean.
Sir, the next thing that I'd like to talk about is just the imagery of Mr. Rahul Gandhi throughout this yatra. So we have seen him with kids, we have seen him with older women, like making sure that they have water and everything. Yesterday there was this really beautiful moment when he was tying Mrs. Gandhi's shoelaces. So is this, like from a communication perspective, since you are in charge of communications, is this a way to kind of attack this image that the BJP has created of him, that he's inaccessible to his own party members?
I don't believe that this is a new Rahul Gandhi that is emerging. I think it's the real Rahul Gandhi that's emerging. He's been lampooned, he's been caricatured, and for too long. And I think the public image that has been created, it does gross disrespect to his private beliefs, his convictions, his passions, and his vision for India. And I think that's coming out in this Bharat Jodo Yatra. Although it's not a Rahul Gandhi Yatra, there's an old saying that is attributed to Nelson Mandela, which I often use in the context of Mr. Gandhi. Don't walk ahead of me, I will not follow. Don't walk behind me, I will not lead. Walk with me, and I will walk with you. And that's what, this Bharat Jodo Yatra is all about. He has never said, I'm leading the Yatra. He's always said, I'm one of the 120 Bharat Yatris, 1/3 of whom are women. So I think it's a collective enterprise. It's natural that the public focus, the media focus is on him. And in that process, in the last 30 days, the real Mr. Rahul Gandhi is beginning to emerge.
But sir, even the Congress party's focus seems to be on him. So why would he say that I'm not leading the yatra?
He is on him. He occupies a special position in the Congress party, in the legacy, in terms of his contributions. He's young, he's personable, he wants to walk 25 kilometers a day. Only Digvijaya Singh, who is 24 years older to him, can match him. But yeah, sure, the Congress party is also focusing on him. But it's not a Rahul Gandhi Yatra. This is a Congress Yatra. It's a Yatra to unite India. It's a Yatra to deal with these consequences of the policies of the Modi government, which has led to economic inequality, social polarization, and political centralization. So it's natural that he is the focus. He is natural, but he is, at pains to point out, and I've been at pains to point out on his behalf, in my capacity as General Secretary Communications, that this is a Congress Party collective enterprise, of which, of course, he is a very pivotal figure.
So I just have two more questions for you. Firstly, the presidential elections for the party is coming up, and in fact these are the two things that is being discussed in the media a lot: the Bharat Jodo Yatra and the Congress's
One
presidential.
is a side show, I'm afraid. One is a complete side show. It's a morning show. It's a matinee show. But the evening houseful show,
But you say that, but it's so interesting for all of us.
I think it's the media, it's titillating for the media. But in terms of long-term consequences for the Congress party, in terms of the structural transformation of the Congress party, it's the Bharat Jodo Yatra and the momentum it creates and the impulses for change it brings about in the organization. Elections, I've said before that in a 137-year-old history, we've had elections on 4 occasions: 1939, 1950, 1997, and the year 2000. Personally, I prefer the Kamraj model of consensus building, which resulted in in Jawaharlal Nehru's successor being selected, and later on Lal Bahadur Shastri's successor being successful. The Congress party is the only party that has a system for electing its president. It's an independent election authority. We have a TN Session-like figure in Madhusudan Mistry. So, where consensus is desirable, when elections become inevitable, we will have it. We are having elections on 17th. The Bharat Jodo Yatra will be stalled, will rest on the 17th. We'll all vote on a postal ballot, presumably. It's happening. I'm not losing sleep.
Just
over
two
it.
questions.
I lose sleep on the Bharat Jodo Yatra. I'm not losing sleep over the organizational elections. That will happen.
Just two questions on the election, sir. Firstly, there's this notion that the family has selected Mr. Kharge. He's their nominee.
Gandhi has pointed this out. Mr. Rahul Gandhi has pointed this out. The elections are welcome. We welcome elections. There is no official candidate, and two people are in the fray. And I think. I've known Shashi Tharoor since 1974, when I came to Hindu College for a debating and a quiz competition representing IIT Bombay, and Shashi was representing St. Stephen's College, and Pawan Verma that year was representing Hindu. I go back.
I'm sure St. Stephen's won.
Sorry?
I'm sure St. Stephen's won.
No, the quiz we won, by the way. Debating they won.
I'm just standing up for my college. Too.
Yeah, the quiz we won. Nandan Nilekani and I won the quiz. I've known him from 74. I've known Khargeji since 1998. I've worked very closely with him over the last 2 decades. I know both of them. They're contrasting people, contrasting styles. But ultimately, the person who will contribute to the strengthening of the organization will win. And whoever wins, the Congress party will emerge stronger. But as I said, it's a sideshow. It's not the main narrative setting show of the Congress party. That remains the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
Sir, there are leaders in the party, like Mr. Chidambaram had written an op-ed a few days ago, delineating between the leader and the president in the context of the elections. So could you elucidate on that? Because
I think what Mr. Chidambaram was trying to point out in his inimitable style is that Mr. Gandhi and Srimati Sonia Gandhi occupy a special place in the Congress party organization because of the legacy they represent, because of their contributions, because of their thinking, because of the fact that they appeal to the largest cross section of congressmen and congresswomen. So I think that's what he was trying to figure. I mean, they are very much an integral part of the Congress Party organization, and whoever becomes the Congress president and is announced on the 19th of October will I'm sure recognize that they have contributions to make. They have value, not just because of historical associations, but also because of what they do. I mean, look at the response that Mrs. Gandhi received yesterday in Mandya, or the response that Mr. Rahul Gandhi received in Mysuru, in the citadels. Mandya is a JDS citadel. Mysuru is a stronghold of the BJP. I mean, we are getting these responses in citadels of the opposition. So obviously there is something about Srimati Sonia Gandhi and Mr. Rahul Gandhi that is appealing to people at large. So we can't ignore that. So I think that's what Mr. Chidambaram was trying to.
So last question, sir. This is actually about you. Since you've taken over the communications department, there is a palpable change in how the department works, and we've.
Do you think so?
Yeah, no, it's a personal observation, and this is what we have as journalists discussed too. So what are you doing different? What is it that you're how?
Mrs. Gandhi, when Congress President asked me to take this job, she had only one thing to tell me. She said it's a 24/7 job. That's all she said. She said it's 24/7. And I took the hint. I got the hint. And now, normally I sleep at 10. I now sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm tweeting at 1 o'clock in the morning or putting out, statements at 1:30 in the morning. I'm an early riser. I normally rise by 5. Now I'm rising at 4.
I've also seen that aggression.
That's why I'm getting up in my container at 3:45. But getting up early is not an issue for me. Sleeping early, I used to sleep by 10:30. But now, as I told somebody else in a different context, the Congress Party's communication strategy now is one of ACT, ACT. We have to be aggressive. Number 2, we have to be cohesive. And number 3, cohesive in terms of concise. We have to be concise. And number 3, we have to be timely. We have to be tired. We have to be aggressive. If they hit you, hit them back.
Yeah, because we have seen you take it up with news organizations when they've.
I am very clear. If the BJP attacks you, attack them back, and attack them back in the same language. You cannot, if they are playing. They're playing cricket, not by the rules of cricket, but some other game. Learn the rules of that game and play them by the rules of the game. So, this cannot go on the way that, and be very brief, be very concise in what you're saying. People don't have time for long-winded statements. And be aggressive. Nothing to be feel defensive about. That's what I've tried to do in the last, on the 17th of June. My sleep habits have changed. I was never a great social media presence, but suddenly my social media presence has become, has proliferated.
Are you on Instagram now?
Not yet. I'm just, I am on Instagram, but I'm really not. And Facebook also, I never took it seriously. Twitter, I grudgingly came on Twitter. But by the way, I use Twitter not for engagement. I use Twitter for outreach. I make a fundamental difference. I'll do it for outreach. For anything, I'll do for outreach. I'll not do it for engagement. My whole lifestyle has changed as a result of coming to this job. And the other thing that I'm trying to do is to get as many new people, as many new faces to speak on behalf of the Congress. So you'll see more women coming. More people who are from outside the Delhi circuit coming, people from the states speaking out. So I think we have a wealth of talent in our party, wealth of talent, people in the 30s and 40s, and they need to be exposed. They need the exposure. And I always believe in one policy: those you project, you must protect. So if they make mistakes, I take the responsibility. There used to be a very famous chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization. He's been my role model since I was very small because I knew him, Satish Dhawan. And he was Abdul Kalam's mentor. And Abdul Kalam writes in his autobiography, Satish Dhawan's great success was because whenever credit had to be given, he put the other guy in front. Whenever there was a failure, he put himself in front. So when India's first satellite launch vehicle failed, he took the responsibility, although Kalam was the director. But when it succeeded, He allowed Kalam to take the credit. I think that's what you need in positions like mine. You need to project people, new people, and you need to protect them. Because, politics is a banana peel. You can slip anytime.
So, last question at the end of the 3,570 kilometers.
I'm looking forward to the end, I can tell you. But that end is not going to come till end of February, I'm afraid.
At the end of that, what is going to change for the Congress party? Because this is something that is
To Porbandar to Parashram Kund Yatra. We may do a west to east yatra. Mr. Gandhi alluded to this in his interaction with the civil society.
What would this mean for the cadre? Because everywhere you're going, the cadre is involved. There are people coming and joining from.
The cadre is enthused, the cadre is energized, the cadre has seen Mr. Gandhi, seen the Congress president, the cadre has now got a conviction that a collective effort is possible. I think that's, there's no magic wand for the revival of the Congress party. There's no individual effort. It has to be a collective enterprise. And I think the Bharat Jodo Yatra represents a collective enterprise of hundreds of people. I am just one of the public faces, but there are hundreds of people who have done small things to make the Bharat Jodo Yatra such a great success in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, and now such a great success in the last 6 days in Karnataka. So I think this collectivity, this ability to work together, the ability to say, okay, in the victory of the party, it lies my victory. If the party does badly, I do badly. If the party does well, I do well. I mean, that's the type of thinking that we need to do. We don't need superstars. We don't need magic wand people. What we need are people who are 24/7 dedicated to the organization. And that's what I think Mrs. Gandhi meant when she said.
You think this would reduce the number of people who are leaving the party, because there have been quite a few exits?
People who leave the party, they leave because of two reasons. One set of people who leave want to get into the BJP washing machine. Hemanta Biswa Sarma is a wonderful example of the BJP washing machine, which is ED, IT, CBI, all that. You're free, so you become stainless like my white kurta. Then the second type of people who leave because the personal ambition is boundless. That's Ghulam Nabi Azad type, that you want to have your own ambition and you see that ambition blocked in the Congress party. So there will be people who leave, and this is a pathetic part of Indian politics that it's become migrant. There's a lot of migrant labor in politics. People leave. People have left the BJP and joined us. I'm dead against people, admitting people from outside the party, but it happens. Real politic. People leave us. So yeah, I mean, fine. People want to leave, they leave. But I can tell you one thing, my experience. For every Scindia who has left, for every Azad who has left, for every Jitin who has left after enjoying the fruits of the party for 30, 40 years, there are 20 guys waiting to take their positions. There are 20 Scindias wanting to be, the next Scindia. There are 20 Jitins, there are 20 Azads. And the challenge is to identify positions. And the problem is more difficult for us now because we're not in power. See, when we are in power, you're able to reward these guys. But when you're not in power, how do you reward these people? I can tell you the number of people whom I have met in Jammu and Kashmir, just to give you an example, whom Mr. Azad had just completely suppressed and now suddenly are emerging. It's a relief. So, how do I spell relief in Kashmir? I spell it AZAD.
Okay, all right, sir. Thank you so much for speaking to us and best of luck for the rest of the yatra.